ride down there, we'll meet you there.
Yeah, I'm gonna find and see if I can park that side, yeah.
Real.
Welcome to Mod TV, Steve.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Dave.
Hi Steve, we're here today to talk about what it's like being a mod and how you became a mod and about the fashion.
Okay. Fantastic.
Well, can you tell us how you got into the mod scene?
Yep, through my cousin. My cousin got into the scene through a pal of his, and I'd already listening to Motown and Stax, a lot of black soul music from the 60s, Elvis. My parents listened to all that sort of music, jazz and swing, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. So I kind of already listened to that kind of music, was very much into the black soul music of the 60s anyway. And then sort of to find out that there was a fashion scene associated with it as well. I suppose we call it peer pressure, but or influence of someone else. But got into it via my cousin. I was 11 years old, so 11 years old, yeah. So it would have been 82, I think, 82, 81, 82. So yeah, that's how I got into the scene, and it's been part of my life ever since. And I'm now 50.
Yeah, well, happy birthday, mate.
Thank you, mate. It's a few weeks ago. But cheers.
Can you talk to me about your first item of clothing you bought and what inspired you to buy that item?
Yeah, first item was a pair of stay press. I think they were wine coloured, and also a grey pair, school trousers. So, but they were the first thing I bought, along with a Ben Sherman button down. And I've been buying button down shirts ever since. I don't own a shirt that hasn't got a button down collar. Don't wear Ben Shermans anymore, but that was my first item of clothing. And then I quickly acquired an M51 and an M65, both tiny, both massive on me, like absolutely huge. One had a massive Union Jack on the back. It was a tea towel, but it was sewn onto the back. The other one was plain, but they were the first items of clothing I had. Then I got a pair of monkey boots, and after that a pair of Gibsons, or what were later named jam shoes, but I had the original version without the side bits, they go up towards the ankle. Had those, and then some grey bowling shoes from Shelley's in Carnaby Street. They were sort of the first items I had. I was quite lucky because my cousins, who were a little bit older than me, I used to get hand-me-down clothes, like a lot of us did back then. But they also wore things like Fred Perry's and Ben Sherman, so I would get them, So I had a lot of that kind of dogtooth shirts, button-down shirts, and Fred Perry jumpers when I was little. That was my early sort of clothing, clobber. But been wearing the same sort of clothes ever since, as you can tell.
So can you tell us like where you buy your clothes now, online, or what places, and maybe what shops you go to? Yeah,
I buy them pretty much online. The only shop I've been to the Modfather a couple of times, but the only shop I've bought stuff from has been Lee's place in Eastbourne, Arcade Clothing. Good bloke, great prices down there, great clobber, just a really top lad. But mainly online. I'll wear any branding really, as long as it's a particular style, particular cut. From Armani, Hugo Boss, Stone Island, Paul and Shark, John Smedley, as well as Fred Perry, whatever really. Branding isn't an issue. The quality of the clothing is, and so is the style and the cut, and that's what it's about for me. I don't own any suits. Can't really get a jacket that's going to fit me unless I have it made, and then I don't go to enough places to warrant spending that kind of money on a really good quality handmade suit. So I mainly dress, shirts, polos, smart casual, trousers and jeans, boots.
And what type of music do you listen to?
Now?
What bands, yeah.
Now, predominantly, the Who, Small Faces, the Animals, traditional British rhythm and blues, inspired by the black soul music from the States. I mean, I absolutely love the Animals, the Yardbirds, Spencer Davis Group. They are my, they are my go-to groups. The Who as well. I mean, absolutely love their music. That's the sort of stuff I listen to today. As well as sort of modern bands like the Stripes, James Hunter 6, which is a newish sort of band. Been around a long time, but I've got a couple of their albums. Spitfires are like one of the modern bands as well. I don't mind. But that's the sort of the music I go to. Northern Soul, the Who, Small Faces, Animals, Yardbirds. That's kind of what I listen to on a daily basis.
So have you been to any gigs recently or in the past? Any good memories of any of them?
Small Fakers recently, I've seen them a few times. Always
Kenny
have a
Jones.
fantastic night, fantastic, band. As you see, Kenny was there, and the guy from what was it, the Sex Pistols, he was there the other night when we were watching them. But I've seen them a number of times. See the Who, Weller. See the Who at Hyde Park a number of years ago. Don't get to many live gigs as I used to. We go to an open mic night at a pub in the Pelham Arms in Greenwich, which is just fantastic. Really, really, really good. A few of the guys and girls from the group have been along. It's just a brilliant night, but we always have a good crack when we get together.
Like we always do.
Always, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Have you got any good memories from when you was a younger mod?
Absolutely, yeah. Parties. I think the first absolute
What's
righteous
the one
party.
though that really stands out? You don't remember all
The main thing, the one thing when I think about what it was like back in the day, was Carnaby Street. Carnaby Street every Saturday. Everybody would gather down by where the toilets were and the scooters used to be, and then we would set off through the back streets onto Oxford Street, and we would march down the centre of the road chanting "We are the mods." It was absolutely fantastic. As a youngster, you got to think I was 12, 13 years old. Absolutely fantastic. Everyone ploughing into the arcades and like just it all kicking off. Seeing all the casuals getting bashed. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was such a buzz. So for my one memory that springs to mind whenever asked is are the marches that we used to go down, down Oxford Street, and it all kicking off in the arcades, and soul boys getting bashed on the way. They were the abiding memories of that time, and the parties as well. Yeah, absolutely. The parties were just mental. Supertenants and just absolutely off my tits. As a small kid.
Yeah, it just seems strange, like, because you've got soul boys, and then you've got like mods, and they used to like Northern Soul. And did they back in the day?
Not for me.
Was it just
The
Tamla
soul boys
Motown?
back in the day was like that was like the early days of what we used to call jazz funk, and they kind of, the soul boys were into that kind of sound, wearing the deerstalker hats, the
Deodora.
the Deodoras and the Farrahs and all that sort of stuff with the splits at the bottom, and the what
So
they used
soul
to wear.
boys, they sort of like,
They wore a particular boot, did kickers boots and stuff like that. That wasn't our scene.
and a lot of them were into like football wear, weren't they?
Well, yeah, a lot. I mean,
Tequila
the
and all
casual scene. Yeah, that's where it come from. Everyone wore them designer clothes. Come out of the football casual scene. What we knew. We now called hooligans, but back then we were just called football casuals, and that's where it came from. Yeah, but we were different to that. Yeah.
So when did you get your first Parker, and what Parker was it?
Yep, M51 was my first Parker. I was probably about 12 and a half years old, 13. It was absolutely massive. It had was it Freeze, I think, or Fries or whatever it's called, lining. All holes in it that had been sewn up,
Had a few of them.
As I say, it had a big T-tail on the back, which was a Union Jack. It was massive. It was absolutely huge on me. But and it was a small or extra small, and I was tiny. I was absolutely tiny. But loved it, mate. Absolutely loved it. You know what I mean? Probably looked ridiculous. Could barely see my legs sticking out at the bottom. But I absolutely loved it.
So do you own a scooter? And if you don't, and you had a chance to own a scooter, what kind of scooter would you have?
Nope, don't own a scooter. I nicked a few as a kid and crashed every single one that I've ever.
Naughty boy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why at quite an early age, 15, 16, I realised that bikes weren't really for me. Yeah, every scooter I nicked, you could nick them easy. I mean, they were easily nickable. You know, I just couldn't control them, and yeah, I crashed every single one, hurt myself a few times, and so I decided at a young age that bikes weren't for me. But I'm a car man. I've had classic cars all my driving life since I was about 19 years old. You know, started off with a 1600E, and I've had classic Minis and Mustang, and I've got an old Pontiac Firebird that I've had for the last 16 years. So for me, cars are art. Regarding scooters, I love the classic early Lambrettas. I just think they're absolutely stunning to look at. They are art. They are automotive art. Just a very, you know, the simple colours. You know, no lights. I like the clean look. You know, pastel colours. Just beautiful. If I had to get a modern bike, if I had to get one today, I'd get an auto. I'd get a Scamatti. I think they, you know, I like the long panels of a Lambretta. I think they're fantastic, and the Scamatti replicates that with a little bit more sporty look. I think they're lovely. Yeah.
Can you remember the first record you bought? First mod record you bought?
Yeah, I can. It was called Sound of the 60s, and it was an actual cover album. Didn't know it until I got it home. I bought it because of the cover, which was a female mod in knee-high white boots and a mini skirt and a knitted jumper or top, white. I think it's a white top, and I bought it wearing a hat, actually, the kind of woolly hats that they used to wear in the 60s, and I bought it because of her, thinking, oh, all these tracks I know. And that was the first album I bought. Got it home, and it was a cover. My cousin and I both bought the same album, and we were both gutted when we got it home to find out it was all cover tracks. It was crap.
And what movies are you into?
Movies? I can't remember watching any movies back then.
No, like now, Lock, Stock. You know.
Yeah, I like to watch anything sci-fi. I like sci-fi. I like English London films, obviously. You know, yeah, gangster films. You know, anything really.
And Quadrophenia, do you have any favourite parts?
I like the end of Quadrophenia, and I like, you know, did he die? Did he not? What happened? You know what I mean? Was there going to be a follow-up and all that? That's what I like. I like the end of the film, yeah, because that's the part of the film that leaves you with questions.
And do you believe there should be a follow-up?
Who?
Do you believe in a follow-up?
No, not at all. I think they need to leave it alone, and you know, that is it. You know, if there was going to be one, it would have been donkeys years ago. But no, I think it doesn't need to be. It's iconic, isn't it? I mean, it fueled the scene. It fueled the scene, the revival scene, enormously. You know.
Have you got any like mod meets coming up or gigs or anything?
Yeah, we got the April meet, April 20th in Brighton, group meet, which is going to be fantastic as usual. We've got the summer one coming up in August, bank holiday. We just had a meet last Friday for Curly. You know, God rest his soul, and God bless Kendra. And a couple of weeks before that, we had the Small Fakers gig, which was quite well attended. So you know, the group's active, and just want to say, look, if you're part of the group and you want to get in, just come along to the meets. Everyone's fantastic. I've got to say, met some of the nicest people in the last 18 months, and we have an absolute fantastic laugh.
That's once a mod, always a mod. And
being a mod, have you had any rivalry? Have you been fighting with other people? What's been going on?
With other mods, no, not at all, ever. You know, back then when we met, we'd meet at Carnaby Street. Everyone was together, like properly together. There was no kind of rivalry. My mates that I was knockabout with, and also the people I knew from school. You got to remember, I was young. I was a kid, kiddie, like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. Everyone was together. We didn't have any trouble within. The Soul Boys, they didn't really mess with us. we used to get like proper mobs, you know, yeah, there was never any rivalries. You know, never had no trouble with skinheads or no matter how they thought they were.
Well, Steve, thank you for coming along to our Mod TV and doing an interview with us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dave. My pleasure, Jim.
It's been nice having you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot. And you know, anyone gets asked, come on, get on. Let's hear what you got to say about yourselves and how you see the scene today, back then, and moving forward. You know, it's been a good laugh. So yeah, thanks a lot, chaps.
Yeah, cheers, mate.